How you doing there, YouTube? Jumping into our Ukraine news. Of course, we're going to get to the Gherkin news, but I wanted to cover the grain deal situation on top of Russia announcing that... I should probably turn this down a bit. Rocking a little too hard here in the News Underground. By the way, this is the News Underground, and I am Abandoned Nihilism. Thank you for coming back. You know, so not only is Russia threatening to shoot civilian ships, you know, carrying grain, you know, they're just going to say, if you're in the Black Sea and you're helping Ukraine, we're just going to assume you're carrying weapons and we're going to sink you. So on top of doing that, they're also directly attacking grain storage, which ironically was actually meant to go to China. So big win there, Russia. Bunch of grain that was supposed to go to China. I think Xi Jinping's going to be happy about that one. You can't just make grain appear out of fucking nowhere, folks. You either have it or you don't. And if you don't have it, the prices go up. So on top of that, he's also burning the grain, going after it here. Let me ask you a question. You think Putin has the balls to shoot, to blow up a Turkish freighter? You think Putin has the balls to shoot a Turkish freighter filled with grain? Does anyone believe Putin has the fucking nutsack to do that? I don't think so. And it would only benefit us if he did. It would only benefit us if he did, because Turkey has been helping Russia out throughout the entire conflict. They've been playing both sides expertly. Right? You fire a missile at a Turkish grain ship? Well, that's the end of that. I don't care how close of a friends you are with Erdogan. Ain't no way that's going to fly. And vice versa. Vice versa. Because Ukraine immediately came out and said, okay, well, ships that are going to Russia are fair game as well. I don't think it's going to benefit Ukraine at all to be attacking civilian shipments going to Russia. I don't think they're going to do it. I think they just said, well, okay, they're technically fair game then. But I don't think Ukraine is stupid enough to shoot down a civilian freighter, even if it's like Chinese, right? Like Chinese or whatever, right? Pro-Russian and any, you know, if it's civilian, they would be fools. They would be fools to shoot it down. Structure is very bad, and I think it could happen without orders. Not that. Not something that has such an insane geopolitical significance as Russia attacking Turkey. That's not that, man. If quite an oopsie. Whoops. Super important ally just dropped support for us. My bad. Whoops.
Ukrainian officials say Russia has launched another intense series of nighttime air attacks using drones and missiles against targets across Ukraine. Kyiv's military administration says the southern port city of Odessa was targeted with especially fierce strikes. Authorities are calling the attacks a hellish onslaught meant to destroy the possibility of shipping Ukrainian grain from its ports. At least 12 people were wounded in the attacks. No deaths have been reported. While Russian officials say a fire at a military facility in Crimea caused the closure of a highway and the evacuation of 2,200 civilians from 4 villages.
Росія цілеспрямовано б'є по цивільній інфраструктурі, по житловим районам, по нашим портам. Власне, цієї ночі російські ракети були спрямовані проти української портової інфраструктури, яка задіяна у продовольчому експорті української агропродукції. І такі удари російських терористів не лише по нашій країні, а по глобальній стабільності.
Man, Ukrainians, oh, look at this, man. They got little things set up for their ACs, for their apartments. We don't have that shit in Canada, dude. Holy shit. Oh yeah, we're the first world country. Yeah, first world country. You know how much of a bitch Canadian Strata and all the other big companies that rent out apartments, they don't let you have ACs that hang out because it looks ugly. So we all have to have these like standing ACs that don't do nearly a good enough job. And look at this. They got the infrastructure set up for each one. Look at that. You just pop in your own little AC for your apartment. Much better than Canada. All right, the king. Yeah, I understand people making that decision. I've never seen a country weaponize its own culture and language quite like Russia has. So I understand rejecting it. I understand pushing back against it. I get that. It's not Russia-phobia. It's like a conscious decision to not let Russia assimilate, right? It's like a form of resistance. Wow. Horrific, man. Horrific.
Все были в подвале, но там было довольно-таки дымно. Я сказал, лучше пойти в соседний ЖК, Тырецкие сады, там хоть дышать можно было чем. И все, походили уже, люди успокоились. Уже что, я уже себе блины жарил, по стеклу ходил, музыку включил. Что нам не плакать же, надо жить дальше.
How about this guy, huh? How about this guy? He's crunching around on glass shards, and he's all right. Fuck, I'm turning on the radio. Fuck it, man. If I ever see this guy, I am buying him a beer at least. Yeah, the king. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it's a pushback against an attempt at assimilation. Moving on from this video here to the next one. We got to get our Jerkin Gherkin update. Why were you put on a 30-minute timeout? Oh, let me think about it here. Hold on one second. You know what? I'm going to need another 30 minutes to think about it. I meant to hit the 30-minute button. I hit the 10-minute button. But I'm going to need a couple more minutes to think about it, NG. So I'll get back to you on that one. But anyway, we got Jerkin Gherkin here. By the way, Jerkoff Gherkin here is apparently guilty of shooting down that Malaysian airliner filled with civilians. I don't know if you remember that story from a little while ago. Just, out of the blue, these assholes shoot down a passenger liner. I know, poor conservative. All I want to do as a lefty is deny conservatives free speech. That's why I exist. They're so correct. Their opinions are so right. It challenges my entire worldview. So when they speak in chat, I feel threatened because they're so correct. Their debating is so on point, and I have nothing when they challenge me. Because they're so on point. When you have thinkers like Jordan Peterson on your back, it's nearly impossible to push back against intellectual titans like that. You know what I mean? I'm literally triggered every moment of my life thinking about what right-wingers are going to do. That's how much they're in my head. God. Sarcasm? No? Okay. Nothing. Silence. Just the chat. Uh-huh. Yeah. That's funny. Anyway, Jerkin Gherkin.
From the face of the Donbass uprising to the image of the Kremlin's continued crackdown on critics of the
I find this so interesting how Russia does this. They put these people in a cage or a box, dehumanizes them, right? Animal in a cage, right? And then they get the press. Then they do some kangaroo court where they're not allowed to plead their innocence. They're not allowed to present any evidence or anything. They're there to listen to their sentencing. They get, okay, you're bad. Here's all the reasons why. Now off to jail. I'm not saying this guy is like, Mr. Innocent, but I'm just saying this is a mockery of anything resembling a justice system. You know what I mean? This is not to be taken seriously.
The special military operation in Ukraine. Igor Strelkov, real name Girkin, was considered untouchable until recently. It all changed after Wagner Group's
Good
failed
point, King.
mutiny in June exposed just how big a threat a former high-ranking figure can be.
These are people with weapons and connected to people with weapons. And so apparently the order came from the Kremlin, from the presidential administration to crack down, beginning with Mr. Strelkov Girkin, who has been a vocal critic for quite some time.
Strelkov became one of the first people placed on a list of Western sanctions against Russians. This happened after the downing of
Who?
Malaysia
Digital
Airlines
Dan?
flight
Who?
MH17 in July 2014 by a missile over eastern Ukraine. Last year, Strelkov was sentenced to life in absentia by a Dutch court for his alleged involvement as
Wow.
one of the commanders of the local militia. Strelkov's supporters gathered outside a Moscow court calling for his release. He has around 1 million followers on social media.
Yeesh.
When Strelkov lost his leadership role in eastern Ukraine,
You know, doesn't really inspire fear. You know, I don't mean to body shame. I'm sure there's lots of people in the chat with a similar physique. But am I supposed to be afraid of this guy? That's all I'm saying.
he became a harsh critic not just of the military but of Putin as well. He called his recently formed opposition movement the Club of Angry Patriots. And his supporters believe he is one.
This is
I
completely
didn't know that, Digital
unlawful
Dan.
in my
Thank you.
point of view. Now, when the situation develops in a very dramatic way, after the mutiny, when the economic situation started to change, detaining people who support the state, who support the battlefront, is suicidal.
For almost a decade, Ukrainians have been calling for Igor Strelkov's arrest. But few believed it would be Igor's former colleagues from the Federal Security Service who would arrest him. Dmitry Medvedenko, Al Jazeera.
Personally, if I was in that cell, I would turn my back to the people. But I'm sure if you do that, the guards will get in there and force you to look, because the whole point is to shame you. Not that he doesn't deserve it. He's a monster. He absolutely deserves to be in a cage and observed like the animal that he is. I'm just saying, like, the whole point, it's just such a mockery of justice. It really is. This idea, you know, does anyone truly believe in Russia you're innocent until proven guilty? I mean, look at the way that they treat their accused, you know, putting them in an animal cage and letting the press take pictures like you're at the zoo. Little bit more on Girkin. Just thought we'd just get our Girkin jerkin fill here, and then we can move on with other Ukrainian news.
Prominent Russian pro-war blogger Igor Girkin has been arrested and charged with incitement to extremism. He was remanded in custody in Moscow on Friday, awaiting trial. Girkin was a vocal critic of Russian President Vladimir Putin and accused him of weakness and indecision in Ukraine. As a former military commander of the Donetsk People's Republic, he played a vital role in organizing a Russian-backed separatist rebellion in eastern Ukraine in 2014. And for more, we're joined now by DW correspondent Maria Katamadze. She joins us from Riga, where our Russia correspondents are based since authorities closed down our Moscow bureau. Maria, good to see you. What more can you tell us about Igor Girkin?
Thank you very much, Digital Dan. Take a look at that for later.
Well, Igor Girkin is one of the former FSB, Russian Security Services officers. After the invasion of Ukraine last year, he escalated his criticism of Vladimir Putin. And today, as we can see, he was charged with extremist activity. As his lawyer claimed, for social media posts about Crimea, as well as the post about...
It's the same thing with Prigozhin, right? It's like, oh, yeah, it's kind of funny to watch, but it's like, yeah, I don't really want him to be in charge. He's like Putin on crack.
the Russian Ministry of Defense, which is not paying some of its soldiers, according to Igor Girkin. There were dozens of other ultra-nationalists who gathered in front of the court in Moscow, where Strelkov's trial is being held. A few of them were even arrested, by the way. So Girkin is such an important military figure, character who helps us.
Sorry, Chem Goblin. I just, for anybody who's here late, sorry, I forgot to tell the Discord until just now. Very sorry about that. Good news is this is the beginning of the Ukraine segment, so you got the whole Ukraine segment. Sorry about that.
Understand the war in Ukraine and its roots. As you said, Girkin is a former military commander who's widely seen as someone who kind of initiated the war between Russia and Ukraine back in 2014. Of course, with the approval and the help of the Kremlin. He notoriously said that he was the one who, quote, pulled the trigger on the war in Ukraine. And just to remind you, he was also convicted of the downing of Malaysian Airlines flight MH17 in eastern Ukraine, where about 300 people were killed. In the 90s, for instance, he fought as a volunteer in Moldova, Transnistria region, where many ethnic Russians live. And, well, if we look at his biography from the beginning, he was ideologically driven by the idea of the so-called Ruski Mir, Russian world, which is essentially a very imperialistic worldview where Russia has to return the territories that were under the Russian Empire's control. And
yeah, and there's also this inherent assumption that democracy, that Western democracy, is on the verge of collapse. Putin, along with who's that ghoulish advisor, Dugin, that he has, truly believe that Western democracy is like minutes away from collapsing upon itself because of its immorality and, you know, its greed and its own corruption. And of course, you know, Uncle Sam's got a lot of greed and corruption and immorality. Let's not get it twisted. But this idea that capitalism is like late stage capitalism, we're on the verge of total collapse and America is about to become a third world nation. They're basing their whole worldview on this, and they're like waiting for it to happen. And they're waiting for that opportunity to pounce. And I mean, it is a POV that is actually really almost fully separated from the reality of the situation, right? No matter how much you hate America, you can't sit here and accurately say it's on the verge of collapse. Even full like Trump, you know, I mean, Trump will have to do a lot of damage if he gets in for the next 4 years for that to happen. But hey, you know what? If there was ever a character that could do it, fucking Trump, baby. You know what I mean? That the next 4 years, if Trump gets in for the next 4 years, I do believe that's the end of America as we know it. I mean, there's no way it will look the same after that 4 years. He's going to go full dictator. You know, I ain't leaving. I ain't never leaving.
To restore Russia's status as a great power.
Mm-hmm. And with all of that in mind, for many, he should have been behind bars already many years ago for war crimes he committed in eastern Ukraine. But looking at the bigger picture here, Yevgeny Prigozhin's failed mutiny left Putin looking weaker than ever. Is this arrest a message to all of his critics?
Come on up, Lenny.
It certainly
bring the whole
looks
fam
like this. It could be a warning to other kind of military bloggers and military officials who dare to raise the criticism. What's interesting is that Girkin was detained after he called for Putin's removal last week, saying, quote, that the country cannot survive another 6 years of this cowardly low life in power.
Whoa, he called Putin a cowardly lowlife. Oh man, you know, it would be a really terrible sign in this country if we saw it happen, right? But it would be kind of funny to see like Tucker Carlson, right, call Joe Biden's a Marxist who wants to, you know, who's a delusional Marxist who's senile and he's old and he's gonna die soon, and then the fucking FBI shows up to his house and puts him in a fucking cage and arrests him for 10 years. Oh, of course I don't want that to happen, but it'd be kind of funny.
That's what he wrote on his social media, and many in the special services and among very patriotic Russians supported his hawkish stance. And his arrest could serve as a warning for others, definitely.
Igor Girkin has never minced his words. You just quoted him there on a couple of occasions, and it's not the first time he criticizes Putin either. So is there a larger purge of those proven...
Just because there's a lot of right-wing idiots willing to give their money to grifters doesn't make their opinions any more credible, NG. There's a lot of money in lying to dum-dums like you. There's a lot of money. You fucking guys cough it up, dude, like simps. Here's my money, Peterson. Oh, tell me I need to clean my room again. It's Marxist, cultural Marxism, right? Here you go. You're pathetic.
Disloyal to the leader happening right now in Russia.
Well, we cannot really predict whether his detention will trigger a wave of massive kind of repression against so-called angry patriots who support the war but are not happy with the way it's waged. But we can kind of see the trend here, especially in light of Wagner's chief Prigozhin's short-lived mutiny, as you said. For instance, General Surovikin, who briefly served as overall commander in Ukraine, was reportedly detained after Prigozhin's riot, and we have not seen or heard from him ever since. And there was also one top general, Popov, for instance, who also was fired because he raised his voice. All this probably shows that in the Kremlin there could be a certain decision to further silence critics, even very patriotic ones.
And it seems like someone in the Kremlin definitely is nervous. DW correspondent Maria Katamadze, thank you.
It's so interesting. It's so interesting seeing the machinations of this play out. You know, God, it's so bizarre. The Russian politics is truly bizarre, and it really could, like, we still know so little about what's really happening. You know, I'm sure the U.S. intelligence agencies, you know, are a little bit more plugged in, but it feels like, you know, we could have a Gorbachev-like situation at any moment, right? Bunch of Russian officials. Oh yeah, Putin's really sick. He had to go to some villa. He had to go to his villa outside of Moscow, and he's going to stay there, and we're just going to run things now. He's really sick. He said he would like us to take over for him. We're still talking about Jordan Peterson? Homie, stop sucking his dick, dude. He's not going to fuck you. Jordan Peterson doesn't want to fuck you, bro. Okay? We're talking about Ukraine, okay, honey? So Hassan Piker, I wanted to talk about this because I'm really frightened. I'm really, really frightened that the left-wing influencers, the ones that have all the views and, you know, get all the money and get all the attention, are incorrect, uninformed, embarrassing. So here we have Hassan criticizing Ukraine for attacking the Crimean Bridge, a perfectly viable target in a war, not of their choice. Ukraine didn't want this war. They wanted to work with Russia. They wanted to work it out. Right, you know, even as the troops were lining up on the border. The Crimean Bridge is absolutely a viable Russian target. The Kerch Bridge wasn't blown up by anybody. Russia just opened the gates and allowed water to overflow and knock the dam down. Another great point, the bridge was built without Ukraine's permission after the occupation, I believe. Wasn't it built after 2014, Kem Goblin? So Hassan, who is very comfortable, very rich, and spends about 5 minutes a day paying attention to politics before jumping into a video game stream. I've literally saw videos of him commenting on the news where he watches the video uninterrupted, chews his nails throughout the entire video, says nothing almost, barely pauses the video maybe once to make a 5-second comment, chews his nails, flips through his phone, and then I swear to God, gets up and leaves to go walk his dog while the video is playing. And this is supposed to be a legitimate leftist political commentator? This is supposed to be one of the up-and-coming Zoomer, politically plugged-in Zoomer influencers? This is the guy Ocasio-Cortez attaches herself to when she wants to reach out to the Twitch crowd? Here's his take on Ukraine. One of the #1 leftist political commentators in our space.
Where like the Russian forces are being supplied. Well, it's a bridge where like the Russian forces are being supplied, but it's also a bridge that, you know, connects Crimea to the Russian mainland. So you absolutely can consider it a war crime in the same way that when Russia blows up shit on the civilian infrastructure and claims that they're doing it for, you know, military purposes. It's just like bullshit. Not that it fucking matters. They literally blew up the pipelines, dude. They blew up the pipelines that were bringing in gas into fucking Europe, and it went nowhere.
There's no definitive proof who blew up the pipelines. There's legitimate motivations on both sides. I will say, to give him credit that he doesn't deserve, from my analysis, it does look like the United States benefited more from blowing up the pipeline than Russia. But there is absolutely no proof who blew up the pipeline. No one has admitted it, and there's been no really any convincing proof on either side, just a lot of speculation and game theory, right? Like who benefits more from this. And I will also say, to give him credit he doesn't deserve, that yes, technically, what Russia did to the Kerch Bridge, or I'm sorry, this is the Kerch Bridge, what Russia did to the Dnipro River Bridge near Zaporizhzhia was a war crime. And what Ukraine technically did to this bridge is technically a war crime. The question is, why was Ukraine motivated to commit that act? Was there some situation? Was there some situation that they're dealing with that maybe that would make that bridge a very viable target? I mean, this is war. This is war, and war crimes will be committed, and there's no excuse for it. There's never an excuse for it, but it has to happen. The Kerch Bridge is an extremely viable and important lifeline for the Russian military currently occupying Crimea. And some blame does need to go to Russia for encouraging people to use that bridge, you know, for getting civilians on that bridge the moment they can. The moment they can get more civilians on that bridge, they can do that. Why do you think that is? Russia cynically using civilians to protect a military target, right? Because if this was the United States, if this was a Western country, do you think they'd let sunbathers cross a viable military target to go fucking on vacation in an occupied territory during a war? So I guess Hassan doesn't have time to make these nuanced arguments. He's a very busy guy. He's got some fucking video game or something to play in a couple minutes. He's got to go walk his dog.
I felt like I was eating every crazy pill on the goddamn planet when I was talking about it, and everyone was like, Hassan, you don't have enough information for this. It's like, what are you talking about? You have to look to, like, who stands to benefit in situations like this, right?
Talking about the pipeline. Hassan, it's one thing to say what I said, which is it does look like the U.S. benefited more from this. It's another thing to say, yep, definitely did it. Are you a dummy? Do you have no respect for the truth or information? I guess you wouldn't consider yourself a journalist. It's a little embarrassing. It's a little embarrassing. This guy's supposed to be the exemplary. This is supposed to be the best the Zoomers can do for political commentary.
So ultimately, it's ridiculous.
Okay, thank you so much, Hassan, for embarrassing the left. Please continue to do so. Your voice is such a benefit to this project of saving democracy from the fascists. You fucking Johnny Depp cosplayer. Moving on. I had to talk about this. I didn't have time to talk about it later in the week. I promised that I would talk about it. No, I haven't seen his chat. I would like to prevent cancer from entering my body. Russia is kidnapping Ukrainian children, period. Thousands of Ukrainian civilians are being held in Russian prisons. Russia plans to build many more. Zaporizhzhia, Ukraine. The Ukrainian civilians woke long before the dawn of the bitter cold, lined up for a single toilet, and were loaded at gunpoint into the livestock trailer. They spent the next 12 hours or more digging trenches on the front lines for Russian soldiers. The first sentence of this article that you're absolutely going to want to read all of. I won't have time to read the whole thing, but you're absolutely going to want to read every single fucking word. Hard-hitting stuff right here by the AP. Many were forced to wear overlarge Russian military uniforms that could make them a target. Uh-oh. My chat's going bonkers here. Was I just banned? No, I wasn't banned. Okay. Whew. Wait, was I banned? Hold on. Hold on. Was I banned? Hey, I wasn't banned. Yeah! Thank you, Jeff. Thank you so much, Jeff. We good, Jeff? I love Amazon. Did I mention that? Have you guys tried Amazon Prime? I'm just saying, it's the best deal on the internet right now. Have you tried Amazon Prime? What a bargain. You know? Wow. Many were forced to wear overlarge Russian military uniforms that could make them a target. And a former city administrator trudged around in boots 5 sizes too big. By the end of the day, their hands curled into icy claws. These are Ukrainians taken prisoner, kidnapped by Russia, and forced to work near the front lines digging trenches in icy conditions. Nearby in the occupied region of Zaporizhzhia, other Ukrainian civilians dug mass graves into the frozen ground for fellow prisoners who had not survived. One man who refused to dig was shot on the spot. My God, dude. That's World War II right there. That's right out of World War II, man. Yet another body for the grave. Thousands of Ukrainian civilians are being detained across Russia and Ukrainian territories it occupies in centers ranging from brand new wings in Russian prisons to clammy basements. Most have no status under Russian law. Just an image here of what your average accommodations look like for these people. Dirty mattress put on the floor, and here is a bucket to shit in. It looks like they're encouraged to throw the shit out of the window, and this looks like shit stains coming down from the window after trying to empty the bucket. If someone could show me a single shred of evidence that proves Ukraine is doing this to anybody, even the hardest of hardcore Azov Nazis, if you could provide me with maybe a gray zone article, maybe something Roger Waters liked on Twitter, could you show me a single shred of evidence that would point to Ukrainians treating human beings like this? I'd really appreciate that. And Russia is planning to hold possibly thousands more. A Russian government document obtained by the Associated Press dating to January outlined plans to create 25 new prison colonies and 6 other detention centers in occupied Ukraine by 2026. Boy, they plan to be there. And do we think that if the defeatists were allowed to win the day and Ukraine gave up Donbas and her son in Crimea, do we think for a fucking second that Russia wouldn't lick its wounds, build up its power, and take all of Ukraine, go for Kyiv once it's militarily ready? Does anyone really believe that they wouldn't? In addition, Russian President Vladimir Putin signed a decree in May allowing Russia to send people from territories with martial law, which includes all occupied Ukraine, to those without, such as Russia. Basically, it's legal to kidnap Ukrainians. I'm not your fucking daddy, NG. You think what? You think this is the NG show? You begging to get banned? You're timed out for life. I'm gonna time you out until my fingers go numb. You pustule. You pile of filth. This makes it easier to deport Ukrainians who resist Russian occupation deep in Russia indefinitely, which has happened in multiple cases documented by the AP. Fully legal to kidnap Ukrainians. Many civilians are picked up for alleged transgressions as minor as speaking Ukrainian. Oh no. Or simply being a young man in an occupied region. You know, you got a strong back, make up something, arrest you, send you to the trenches, get to digging, and are often held without charge. Others are charged as terrorists, combatants, or people who resist the special military operation. Hundreds are used for slave labor by Russia's military for digging trenches and other fortifications, as well as mass graves. Torture is routine. Quite a thing to say. Torture is routine, including repeated electrical shocks, beatings that crack skulls and fracture ribs, and simulated suffocation. In America, we call that enhanced interrogation. Boy, some things never change. Many former prisoners told the AP they witnessed deaths. The United Nations report from late June documented 77 summary executions of civilian captives. Once again, show me Ukraine. Show me a shred of credible evidence that Ukraine has done any of this. Lining civilians up and shooting them. Kidnapping civilians, forcing them to dig mass graves, shooting them on the spot if they disagree. I'm trying to both sides this. How are you going to both sides this one? I wish Aaron Mate was in the chat, because Aaron Mate would have some real slick shit, right? Well trained gaslighter, whatabouter Aaron Mate would have some real slick shit to say about this information. Oh, it's not real. I mean, he would have something slicker to say than it's just not real. Slick dude, that Aaron Mate over there. Green Zone, Glenn Greenwald. Who's the other one at the gray zone? They're slick. Russia does not acknowledge holding civilians at all. Oh, maybe that's what he would say. Russia doesn't acknowledge that they're holding any civilians. This is made up. This is just Ukraine staged this, took a picture, and now we're supposed to believe it's real. Let alone its reasons for doing so. No, it's not. It's not okay to be. What? It's not fucking okay to be wrong. I'm not supposed to respect your fucking opinions if you're wrong. There is such a thing as truth and reality. And I'm not supposed to coddle you because you want to live in a fucking unreality. Oh, I just want to live in a fantasy world. You're going against my rights. Oh, Kissing Gonzo, I'm sorry. I misread your comment. I'm sorry. Yes, it is okay to have bias, but bias based on falsehoods and lies, well, much less useful. Yeah. No, we should live in a free country where it's okay to be stupid. It should be legally acceptable to be stupid, right? That's just democracy. That's what comes with democracy, right? There's not much we could do about that. A little bit more from this article, then we're going to move on. Russia does not acknowledge holding civilians at all, let alone its reasons for doing so, but the prisoners serve as future bargaining chips in exchanges for Russian soldiers. And the UN has said there's evidence of civilians being used as human shields near the front lines. Interesting point, Kissing Gonzo. The AP spoke with dozens of people, including 20 former detainees, along with ex-prisoners of war, the families of more than a dozen civilians in detention, 2 Ukrainian intelligence officials, and a government negotiator. There are accounts as well as satellite imagery cross social media. Government documents and copies of letters delivered by the Red Cross confirm a wide-scale Russian system of detention and abuse of civilians that stands in direct violations of the Geneva Conventions. Yeah, okay. Look, I believe the Geneva Conventions are important. It's a shame that the United States doesn't. The only time the United States gives a shit about the Geneva Conventions is when it's not committing its crimes, when it's not talking about, you know what I mean? But come on, let's be real. A handwritten calendar seen on the wall of a building in which Ukrainian civilians said that they were detained and tortured by Russian forces in Kherson. Fake news, I'm sure. Fake news, right? They just made it up. This photo provided by Ukrainian investigators in 2023 shows a baton found in a building used by Russian forces in Izium, Ukraine. Civilians who have been detained by Russian soldiers described being tortured with instruments like this. Electronic equipment sits on a table in a building. Ukrainian civilians said that they were detained and tortured by Russian soldiers in Kherson, Ukraine. Civilians have described how equipment like this was used to electrocute them. I don't see any evidence of these being used to electrocute people. It looks to me like they were cutting. Is that what I think it is? Oh my God, that's a Martinez. That is a Martinez right there. You see what that is? This thing right here. This it's a Martinez. These are really, really good tape recorders. Really, really high quality tape recorders. Maybe I spelled the name wrong. Marinats. That's what it is. Yeah. These things are really, really, really good. High quality stuff right here. You use this for field recordings, right? If you're out in the field and you need to record people, you got a little microphone. It's got VU meters on the front. See this? It's got VU meters, so you can make sure you're not peaking and everything. You got that right on your sides. Really nice piece of kit. Really nice. God, I want a working one. I have one that I'm trying to fix right now. I'm sorry. I have one that I'm trying to fix, and I'm really excited to see one out in the wild. This is a good piece of kit. Oh. All right. How many people are using cassette tapes, though? This is a cassette tape medium. Is anyone using this? I don't know. I'm going to call a little bullshit on that. Some civilians were held for days or weeks, while others have vanished for well over a year. Nearly everyone freed said that they experienced eBay. They're $400 on eBay refurbished. New Post Malone album Overdrive. Is Post Malone selling his albums on tape? That's cool. Nearly everyone freed said they experienced or witnessed torture. And most described being shifted from one place or another without explanation. So are they all lying? Gray zone? Aaron Mate? Gray zone? Are they all lying? Quote, it's a business of human trafficking, said Olena Yapova, the city administrator who was forced to dig trenches. So she was forced to dig trenches for the Russians in Zaporizhzhia. If we don't talk about it and keep silent, then tomorrow everyone can be there. My neighbor, acquaintance, child. Look, just a look at the fucking gruel they're serving you. God, who knows? Anyway, I wish I had more time to read this whole thing. It's absolutely amazing. I heavily encourage you to do so. I'm going to go ahead and put a copy of this in the Discord as well. Again, so that people can see it's right up front. Russia is kidnapping Ukrainian children, Ukrainian civilians, executing them, torturing them, forcing them to assimilate into Russian society, forcing Russian passports on children, forcing them into Russian families, and then forcing them to go to Russian schools where they learn Putin is God. That is not being hyperbolic. It's not. I don't care how many Twitter hammer and sickle Twitter commies come up here with the gaslighting. That is absolutely what is happening. And honestly, to the whatabouters, show me some fucking proof that Ukraine is doing this to anybody. Do I think every Russian POW is getting treated squeaky clean? Am I going to sit here and pretend that Ukraine isn't extracting information from certain high-value prisoners? No, I'm not a fucking clown. But show me proof of systemic torture, kidnapping and torture of civilians from the Ukrainians. Show me any evidence. Welcome back to the motherfucker show. It's your boy, Quick Double Tap. Quick double tapping this motherfucker. By the way, I haven't reminded everybody about our #1 financial contributor to the stream, Lenny, and his amazing YouTube show, Accidents Waiting to Happen. There he is right there. Make sure you like and subscribe. Lenny, if you got time, give us that YouTube link, buddy. Hey, look, if you're bored, you want the action, you want the red meat, it's coming up. I got lots of boom booms at the end of the stream. You want that edge of your seat, first person combat experience? Well, stick the fuck around. So South Africa, boy, they're in a kind of a state, aren't they? South Africa's in a kind of a state. NG, every time you comment, you're proving me right. Okay, literally. The South African government has applied for a warrant to arrest Vladimir Putin. This comes in direct response to the DA's court case to compel the government to comply with the ICC directive to arrest Putin for abducting Ukrainian children. So, because some of these South African countries have signed on to, the International Criminal Court, whatever the hell, and because the International Criminal Court has considered Vladimir Putin a war criminal for his kidnapping campaign of Ukrainian children, they kind of have to do this. It is interesting, though, that a lot of these African countries have kind of, sided with Putin out of desperation, really. And they're kind of getting what they deserve in the situation. Like, Putin wasn't allowed to go to the BRICS summit. This alternate alliance outside of the West, right? Outside of, it's supposed to be the Russian, China, Brazil version of NATO, I think. There's some other countries involved. So they had to tell Putin, don't show up. Don't show up. We would have to pretend like we need to arrest you if you showed up. We would, because I think if you let a war criminal just hang out in your country, I think you get removed from the treaty. Or so there's probably some punishment that happens if you sign that and just let a war criminal strut around your country. I don't know, though. I'm not a smart person, man. So Republicans, I'm just a limousine liberal. All I want to do is take your rights and convert your children into kitty litter sex monsters. That's all I think about. How can I change a conservative child's mind? That's all the left thinks about. Conservative children and how we can convert them to our evil ways. But anyway, I just thought this was funny. Africa has to pretend like they respect international law, or South African countries, I should say. There is no Africa as a country, right? Here's a little red meat from the Situation Room. Whoa, Wolf Blitzer. Yeah, the whole situation's awkward. I mean, it's like, they're not showing any competency. Hey, there it is, Lenny. Thank you so much, everyone. Like and subscribe. Click on that link. I demand you click on that link and you like and subscribe to Lenny's YouTube channel. I demand it. Can be more. Well, thank you for your comment, Fast Life. Looks like Fast Life is a Twitch streamer as well. Make sure you like and subscribe to Fast Life. You streaming them video games there, Fast Life? Streaming some Overwatch, some Counter-Strike, maybe some Valorant, some Apex Legend. Are you an Apex Legend? Is that what you are?
The key Ukrainian port city of Odessa, as residents there prepare for a fourth consecutive night.
This dramatic camera angle zooming in on Wolf fucking Blitzer. Shut the fuck up, CNN.
The key Ukrainian port city of Odessa,
dramatic zoom.
As residents there prepare for a fourth consecutive night of major Russian attacks. CNN's senior national security correspondent Alex Marquardt is on the ground for us there. Alex, you've witnessed these attacks up
I'm
close
just jealous. They
since
have really
the first
good production.
night.
I'm jealous.
What's the latest?
What's the latest?
Well, Wolf, this city is anxiously awaiting to see whether Russia intends to target again after these 3 nights of intense attacks. These were the worst strikes over the past 3 nights that this city has seen since the beginning of this war. We just heard from President Zelensky in his nightly address saying that over the past 4 days, some 90 Shahed drones have been fired at southern Ukraine and some 70 missiles. Just last night, we saw Russia use 4 different kinds of cruise missiles, long-range strategic bombers. They fired all of these drones. At least 3 people were killed last night in both the city of Mykolaiv and here in the city.
So what, they spent tens of millions of dollars shooting highly advanced cruise missiles and other advanced weaponry at civilians, and they only killed 3 people? Who knows how many were shot down? How is it? I mean, like, everyone was predicting Russia's going to run out of ammunition like last year, like 6 months ago. You know, they just keep going. No, I know. You know what I'm talking about, Chem Goblin. One person is too much. But think about just from a cold military, standpoint, logistical standpoint. We have a certain amount of resources. The rate of return is pretty low. But yes, every Ukrainian lost is one too many. Absolutely, Chem Goblin. But from a cold military perspective, really, you're going to spend $10 million? How many millions of dollars to kill a couple civilians? How many of those cruise missiles could have hit real military targets? I think the reason why they're doing this is because there's a lot of anti-air defense on these military targets. And they want to have a dub. They want to be like, see, we blew something up. We blew something up. We blew up an apartment building that Ukraine didn't have enough resources to protect. Is that what it is? Is that why they're not targeting as much military infrastructure? Because it would 100% shot down because, all the really important stuff that's like shooting back at Russia is like heavily protected. But I'm sorry, Chem Goblin. I didn't mean to offend you.
Of Odessa. Wolf, we went to one of those sites that was struck by a missile earlier today in downtown Odessa. It was right next to the port, but this was just a normal civilian administration building. This had nothing to do with the port or the grain infrastructure. This had nothing to do with the military. This was a multi-story building that was taken down by a Russian missile. At least 1 person killed inside. We saw the fires still coming from that rubble. Firefighters trying to put those fires out.
Didn't work for the Nazis.
For blocks around there, windows shattered, trees knocked down. There was dust all over the place. There are both countries, Ukraine and Russia, going back and forth over what they say is the reason for
didn't
these
work for the
Russian
United
strikes.
States.
Russia says that
when
it
we
is
did
retaliation
we still do it.
For Ukraine's attack on
We're
that
not out of
Kerch
Iraq.
bridge, the bridge that is connected to Crimea earlier on Monday. They argue that the sea drones that were used to attack
Shock
that bridge
and awe.
came from
Anyone
here in
remember that?
Odessa, while Ukraine, Wolf, says that it is the grain structure, the grain infrastructure that Russia is targeting since they have now pulled out of that grain deal. They're going after these different ports, going after the grain infrastructure, because it is from these ports
this bridge immediately.
that Ukraine sends its grain all around the world, and so much of that is bolstering the Ukrainian economy
Finish the job on this fucking
and keeping
bridge.
up the global food supplies. Wolf?
Alex, I know you also have some new information involving those U.S.-provided cluster bombs to Ukraine. What are you hearing from your sources?
It's a situation room.
Well, we have multiple sources saying that Ukraine is now using those very controversial American cluster
They were using them before.
Sources telling my colleagues Oren Lieberman, Natasha Bertrand, and myself that they have been used. We had reported, we broke the news last week, Wolf, that those cluster munitions are now in country. We now know that they are being used. The question is how effective they will be, Wolf. There is a debate over that. I spoke to a Ukrainian general last week who said that they would radically impact the battlefield. Others say that they have to be used strategically. Say if groups of Russian soldiers are gathering, that's the kind of target you would use for cluster munitions. But Wolf, everybody agrees that there is a shortage of artillery.
I don't know. I just find it hard to believe that something like this, like what we see right here, I find it
are now in country.
I find it hard to believe that this would not be effective in a Russian tree line. You know what I mean? You're telling me this isn't going to fuck somebody up? You know, they're all tightly up in there in a little trench line, and this just saturates the whole area. I just find this hard to believe
that they are being used.
Doesn't work. But look, the stats speak for themselves. And I went over this. We did a deep dive on cluster munitions last Saturday, so you can check out the VOD, check out the YouTube if you want to see that. The numbers speak for themselves. Cluster munitions right now, according to the numbers, hurt way more civilians than they do soldiers. Now, is that because cluster munitions are used to target civilians? Is that because, you know, after the conflict is done, just more civilians get hurt over a certain amount of time? I wasn't able to figure that out. But right now, the numbers are really, really stark. And cluster munitions seemingly are just like designed to kill innocent people. If you were to just look at the numbers. So I'm really curious about the effectiveness. Do these actually work? Or are we just using them because we're literally out, you know, the fucking shelves are empty. We don't have any more, was it 5.56 or whatever the hell they're using there? 155 millimeter or something?
Who is fire missiles and these drones. They're failing in their military effort, but what they try to do is attack civilian targets.
Yeah, okay.
Including these.
I don't need to look. So they got the spooks here, and I got to stop using that because it's a fucking racial slur, and I didn't even really realize it when I was using it. When I'm talking about SPOOKS, I'm talking about CIA officials. I'm not talking about people of color. Not that it needed to be said, but I guess it did. But no, I don't want to hear from Wesley Clark and some other guy from the intelligence agencies, right? Give me some actual analysis, CNN. Give me something worth the damn. I don't want to hear what the intelligence services has to say. You know?
Now, the Ukrainian ambassador to the United States, Oksana Markarova. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us. As you know, Odessa and Mykolaiv,
government
they
official.
haven't seen a barrage like this in a long time. I know you heard that President Zelensky says almost 70 Russian missiles and 90 Iranian Shahed drones have hit southern Ukraine over the past couple of days. Do you fear this is about to get even worse?
Thank you all for having me, and thank you for drawing attention to this. It's very important, not only to Ukraine. I mean, yes, it's brutal war crimes. And let's be very open. The only reason for this is not retaliation for something. The only reason is a criminal intent and the criminal war that Russia has started in 2014 and restarted in 2000.
Look, I don't mean to interrupt this person, but is she really going to tell us anything controversial, anything, you know what I mean? That's basically going to be the Ukrainian line on the situation. No disrespect to this person, but I don't think this person is going to provide us with any information that is going to rock our world. So we're going to move on from this one. Thank you, Wolf Blitzer. Oh, guys. Another one bites the dust, guys. Poor fella. Poor fella. Russian propagandist Rostalav Baranalev reportedly killed in Ukraine. Oh. Oh. Well, I'm sure he's going to make some beautiful sunflowers. Thanks so much for your attempt at invasion. Moving on. Russian drone strike on the supposed ammunition depot in Chudnov. Oh, I love these. I love it. I love watching ammunition depots get blown up. Nothing blows up quite as well. I'm talking like boom, then wah-boom, and then like a crack-a-boom. You get the best booms when you're blowing up an ammunition depot. It's so cool. All right, so let's check this out. Oh my God, super loud. Oh, oh, dude, how what is that, a mile away? Was he a mile away? Look how long it took for that for the sound to hit him. Oh, Jim. Oh. Woo, we got some mushroom cloud action right there. There, look at all the debris, all the sparks. I know, NG, I know. You're so morally superior. Conservatives are well known for being compassionate towards other people. Boy, what do you guys think? What do you guys think NG would have said if we were looking at George Floyd? What do you think NG would have said? Right? They shouldn't make fun of dead people and stuff. That's me. I'm a compassionate conservative. I care about people. Unless you're a woman, or a gay person, or a black person, or a white liberal. If you're a white liberal woman, I don't know if you deserve rights, but I'm compassionate. Oh, I care. Oh, I care so much. One more time. Oh, yo, Jim. Oof. Oof. And then all the debris, all the, like, who knows what's being flying around there. Oh my God. I love ammo depots blowing up. I'm sorry, it's so cool. NG, the women in your life are lying to you because you're a piece of shit. Right? Digital Dan. One more time. Just one more time. One more time. Oh, yo, Jim. Oh. Oh, that's good. That's good shit. That was a Ukrainian one. I had a feeling. I didn't want to mention that. Yeah. Well, I want to see more Russian ones, but still pretty cool. But it's not nearly as cool when it happens to Ukraine. Yeah, I'm biased. You bet I'm biased. So here are Russian propagandists bragging about how they're proud of their recent rejection of the grain deal, and they think it's a very smart and viable strategy to starve the world, to take food out of poor people's mouths, to not meet their own obligations, right, in their trade deals. They think this is a really smart idea because it's going to get people are going to suffer, and because enough people are suffering, that means Russia's going to win. That's how these people think. Oh, you're hungry, you're starving.
Развивая тему «кушать хочется», знаете, появилась такая очень циничная шутка, даже не шутка.
Not even a joke, just an outcry in Moscow. I heard it several times from different people. It goes like, all our hope is in the famine. Here's what it means. It means that the famine will start now, and they will lift the sanctions and be friends with us because they will realize it's necessary. Is that a friend to a Russian? Hey, I put a gun to your head until you almost starved to death. We're friends now, though. I didn't want to starve you, but I did starve you, but so that we could be friends. Well, it's probably really hot. You know, they got really bright lights. I'm not going to, that's just being on stage. That's just what happens. We're depending on the famine. They don't even find like a flowery word for it, right? Like, like the UN calls it food insecurity, right? Because they can't say starvation. because they're pussies, right? But they don't even say that. No. Famine. I mean, just come on out and say it. What, you don't have the balls to call this a war, but you're willing to say we want the world to be starving so that they'll be friends with us. And look at the big smile on her face. They're going to lift the sanctions. We're going to lift the sanctions because you're starving us. What? We are going to double down on our alternatives to the Russian, what Russia is offering. We're going to find oil from other people. We're going to find grain from other people, precious metals from other people. Ukraine will have to figure out new logistical routes for its grain. That doesn't require the Black Sea, or they'll just take back Crimea. And you're going to have to deal with it, Russia, unless you want to bomb a Turkish freighter. God, it's like, I mean, the right-wingers of the United States are disgusting. Like one of the most disgusting human beings, Nick Fuentes, right, that the right wing has ever produced. I guess he would come out and brag about how good a famine is, right? He's that despicable. But I don't even see Tucker Carlson. He'd give it, they're not, he would deny that they're hungry, or he would say it's not really going to be a famine. He wouldn't come out and support a famine. Just, I support starving people. Not even Tucker Carlson, man, the scum of the earth, would come out and say some shit like that. Yeah, Davey, totally. I'm cutting myself because you don't love me anymore. I'm gonna kill myself if you don't come back to me. I guess it's kind of, we got a lot of, look, Ukraine is on the offensive. That means more vehicle losses, more troop losses, more, Ukrainian vehicles and materiel getting blown up. Look, I'm smart. I used materiel. Look at that. Military term. Look at me. I'm a military now. Davey's going to love this. But no, this is what it looks like. I don't know if the person filming this survived or not. The video cuts off before we can see anything. But this is what it looks like. He's clearly ducking down. He believes the offensive will speed up soon. I have a video going into that, I believe. I think it's this guy, the one that got blown up. He's fine. Hey, he's fine. Nice. Excellent. Love to fucking hear it. Thank you, Chem Goblin, for that context. I am so hot. I am boiling right now. Woo. Of course, our right-wing fascist in the chat loves Nick Fuentes, you disgusting bastard. They survived, but were critically injured. I mean, but look at this. You're doing the best you can. You went through training. You're following all the rules. You're doing everything to the best of your ability, and this is why war sucks. This is why being out there fucking sucks. And this is why you come back with PTSD. Because what are you gonna do about this? What are you gonna do about this? Right? He's all ducking down, trying to throw fire. What do you do? What do you do with that?
Stumbles. Rejoice.
Random. What? Random Chappelle? We got Chappelle quote at the end of this? They're doing comedy Chappelle quotes now in war footage? What? 1 second.
When a hero stumbles, well, the cowards rejoice.
Okay. Little Dave Chappelle there. Dave Chappelle is a TERF, by the way. I don't support Dave Chappelle. I think he's a TERF. Oh, well, geez. I see. So this is the full video. Well, I can't. All right, he survived. Okay, folks, I can't show this video because it shows, like, you know, come on. I can't show this video, Chem Goblin. I'm sorry. But please, click on this link, like and subscribe. Give this man the view. Okay? He talks about it. Okay, well, let me see if I can... Dude, there's all kinds of injuries and shit in this video, man. Nah, dude. Come on, bro. You're asking to get me in trouble. All right, he speaks about... Okay, well, I can't show you the video. I can't show you the fucking video here. Fucking Chem Goblin over here going to get me in trouble with Jeff Bezos. TERF stands for Trans Radical Exclusionary Feminist. You are literally saying I believe that we should exclude trans people because I'm a feminist. And Dave Chappelle explained what the meaning of TERF was on stage and then said, I'm proudly a TERF. Dave Chappelle hates trans people. End of story. We know, Panda Man. You can stop telling us how much of a conservative asshole we are. We'll just assume it. Okay? We'll just, if there's a terrible conservative perspective or opinion, we'll assume that you have that. You don't need to tell us anymore, okay? We don't fucking care.
When a hero stumbles, well, the cowards rejoice. Nothing feels better to a coward than to watch a brave guy fall.
True.
And oh, how these cowards will rejoice. And these are cowards, because they do not have the balls or the interest to report.
Okay, I can show you this picture. Hey, ladies, keep it in your pants, okay? But I can show you this picture. You know, we're packing a lot of heat. If you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about? Locked and loaded. I can show you this picture.
That I am fine. Braveheart will be fine. And Mac, even though he has the worst of us, is not losing his eyesight. He just has
Yeah, NG. When you're against trans people, that means you're transphobic. Yeah.
Lacerations to the face.
Damn,
and
dude,
some
that's a
shrapnel in
nasty
the
one.
face.
That's a whole chunk
And
of
within
flesh.
weeks, we will be able to return back to our unit and continue on the fight.
Okay, I can show you this. So this is a picture of the shrapnel that I think was removed from his body. Chunk of metal ripped through his flesh.
But they don't care. They just want to live in their bubbles and their echo chambers.
Okay, this is okay. I can show you this X-ray of what shrapnel looks like. I think it's the left over here. Maybe show you that.
And feed off of Russian propaganda. They want to rejoice that I have stumbled. I have not fallen. I still stand.
Well, there you go. Well, thank you, Chem Goblin. That, you know, to hear the words of the man himself. Love to see it. Excellent job. Excellent job. I see we got some Bible quotes in the old chat. Love to see Bible quotes. Nothing I love more than the Bible. I respect the Bible immensely. I think it's really important. So let me just go ahead and there we go. And let's just go ahead and give you one as well. We'll just do 10 minutes on you. There we go. There we go. Absolute hero over here. Thank you so much for your service and, you know, keep up the good fight, soldiers. Love to see it. Thank you. And thank you, Chem Goblin, for that link. I think that was important context, even if I couldn't show all of it. So this is just, you know, normal day on the front lines over here. If you, this is a mine. This is an anti-tank mine, looks like. If you don't know how mines work, one might be very nervous about what he's doing here. This is a sign, by the way, that says, you know, caution mines or something. I didn't know this until I started following Ukraine. But you see that little hole in the center of the disc right here? This little hole, actually, you screw in the detonator for the mine, and without the detonator, it's just plastic. It's just inert explosive. A different explosive could trigger it. You can blow up multiple mines, but you're not going to trigger that explosive by banging anything with it. You could throw it around, bang it, flip it, twist it, you know, shoot it. I don't even think if you shot it, you know, in the state that it's in, if you shot it, it wouldn't even blow up. I don't think that's how it works. I think it requires an electrical charge to start the chain reaction that blows it up, something like that. Anyway, it's kind of funny. Using a mine that he probably pulled it from the field. He probably, just disabled it, disarmed it. Now he's pounding in a sign with it. Frightening stuff, National Police. Unfortunately, the next video here, not as fun, not as silly. National Police published a video of the first moments after the Russian attack on Odessa last night as police officers rushed to help. You can stack multiple on top of each other and only arm the top one for extra power. Yeah, we've started seeing them do that with the automated drones, right? I guess have we actually seen any real world use of those RC cars that have the mines stacked on top and they go into the trench? Have we actually seen those in use yet? Maybe, but they wouldn't publish that because it's so new. You wouldn't want, your enemy getting information about it. Guy at the end is injured, is shown, but he's totally blurred out. Ah, okay. Thank you for that heads up, Davey. Appreciate that. Let's see if we can get this video to work here. But yeah, I mean, this is what Russia thinks is going to win them a war, right? Targeting civilians. You don't even end up killing a lot of civilians. You're scaring nobody, except for the people that are in that immediate moment. They're terrified, of course, but you're not putting Ukraine on its knees. You're not terrifying all of Ukraine. You're you're giving them a reason to fight. You're giving them a reason to fight. Jesus Christ, there's people trapped underneath the rubble. The building's on fire. It's spreading. And Russia cheers it on. Pro-Z, Vatniks in the Twitter. They'll play videos like this on Russian propaganda and celebrate it like it's a big win, it's a big victory. I mean, honestly, if a country considers this a victory, what is that country? Right? If a country considers this a win, and yeah, we can't see that right there. Thankfully, it's blurred out, but an incredibly injured person getting looked at. Thankfully, it looks like they survived, just barely. Yeah, Davey. Yeah. Look, sure, you want to disagree with Uncle Sam, you disagree with the military-industrial complex and its motivations. Okay. I mean, that's honestly super valid. But what are we going to do about this barbarism? Is if the United States and all of its negatives and all of its ills is the only entity that is willing to stand up to this, then I guess I gotta agree with the bad guy here. You think I'm a big American, a foreign policy fan? You think I'm a big fan of Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, blah, fill in the blank. How many of them? Look what we did to the country of Iran. Look what we're doing to Venezuela. Look what we're doing to Cuba. But here we are. Here we are. The United States isn't doing this for democracy. They're doing this because it's a discount proxy war against Russia, and they're kicking major ass. I don't care. I don't care. I do care, but I don't care enough to say we should stop helping Ukraine. And every single day, Russia shows me why that's the right decision with shit like this. You got the gray zone every single day pumping out article after article. Ukraine give up, Ukraine give up, Ukraine give up, Russia justified, Russia justified. What are they defending? What are you defending? This shouldn't be acceptable for any country ever, anywhere. And if the United States was doing this, I would agree with pushing back on it. The United States does occupation and invasion differently than Russia, though. It's different. How many American flags did we plant in Iraq or Afghanistan before we left? How many American occupied territories exist in Afghanistan right now? We do it differently. We just do it differently. That doesn't mean it's not. That doesn't mean you shouldn't criticize it. It just means it's you have to. It's different to criticize it. It's a different scenario. It's a different situation. Hold on to your goddamn butts. If you're bored to tears, this is why you stuck around. Footage like this is bananas. It's just, I mean, I'm really shocked that it doesn't change anyone's mind on war. You know? We're getting a first-person perspective of the horrors. And people are, no one's mind has been changed. This is totally nuts, guys. So he's in the bombed out remnants of some shed or something, and like 5 feet. Fake. The war is fake. It's all fake. This is the Hollywood production right here. But no, there's a bunch of Russians in a house like 5 feet away. They're popping out, like getting close to his structure, and he has to shoot over the wall, you know, to get them away from him. I'm interested what you think, but it's 20 minutes, so I understand. You said you would show that vid of Soviet monuments being. Well, I showed I showed a 2-minute one that showed a bunch of monuments getting removed. I thought that would be okay. I do not have time to show that video today, but if you insist, Chem Goblin, because of your contributions, if you would mind giving me the link, I will be sure to show it in full this week or next stream. How's that sound? Anyway, back to this video here. Hold on to your butts, man. This is like bare knuckle, you know. You can hear them talking in there. They're throwing grenades. They're shooting missiles at you. You're in someone's shed. Well said, quick double tap. True then as it is now. Looks like he's using an AK. Man, they're just pounding this position. This is wild, though, because I'm not 100% certain, but I think he hears somebody on the other side of his wall. And he grabs his AK and just unloads, over the wall. It seems to be, it's like it's all spray and pray. It's so funny to me how, like right there. I think he heard somebody. I think he heard somebody, like, right up on his wall. Yeah, where's the 360 no scopes? 420 Mountain Dew. But yeah, it is really funny just how. I mean, video games have completely have complete. You think there's any, like, Arma, right? Arma 3, Tarkov, right? You think, oh, these are military simulations. They're simulating. No, not even fucking close. There is not a product, video game product on the market that simulates what real combat is like. It's not even close. Hey, NG, then how come it feels so good when I do this, man? How come it feels so good when I click this button and you go away for 10 minutes and then you come back like a fucking starving dog at my door, begging for attention? Why does it feel so good? Red Orchestra, Rising Storm, the whole Red Orchestra series is amazing. It is nothing like Real Combat. It is nothing like Real Combat. Arma 3 is the closest you can get, and it's nothing like Real Combat.
Братанчик, крий зад, пожалуйста. Короче, я выхожу, насыпаю, ты за мной. Вот куда. Я ебал. Крий! Выхожу.
Arma 3 is a good simulation. It's not a very good game. I agree with Chem Goblin. It's a clunk fest. It is a janky clunk fest, Arma 3. Are we kidding ourselves? Arma 3 is the clunkiest fucking shooter I've ever played in my life. Clunky. It's fun though. Clunky can be fun. Clunky can be super fun. But it's nothing. It has nothing compared to Real Combat. There's not a simulation out there that even remotely comes close to this. No, Davey, you're right. But it like Arma 3 would have to triple down on its design, design scheme to really be accurate. No one has the balls to make a real military simulation. You know what I mean? Because it would be so anti-fun. There would be like 5 seconds of fun and 5 hours of shit. Yeah, no, it'd be shit, dude. It would suck. Is Tar Mantis still in my chat? Oh. Okay. Love the music. I love it so much. Love the music, guys. I'm gonna become friends with Republicans so I learn how to hunt. They're not gonna teach you how to hunt. They'll teach you how to go to Denny's. No, that's not being kind. There's a lot of right-wingers and plenty of places that enjoy hunting. I used to hunt when I was a kid. I was born and raised in a trailer park in the woods. So I did a lot of hunting for myself. Arma 3 RP servers. No, Davey, look. You're not wrong. Chem Goblin isn't wrong, and you're not wrong. And I'm not wrong. We're all correct in this, actually. Yeah, Chem Goblin. Yeah, in Ukraine. Yeah, like the heroic battle music is like there's stations 24/7 playing it. I'm sorry. I find that a little funny. Okay, our second to last video here, a longer video of a journalist who is right on the front lines, and you get to see, once again, a shocking first-person view of what it's like, being there, right? The day-to-day, like what it's like to be under fire for like 8 hours, right? During the entire span of daylight, right? The moment it starts, daylight, the sun comes up and then the first mortar shells start coming down, right? Real quick here, let me make sure I get our final video reporting from Ukraine here. Oh, we got a new Denny video. We'll do a Denny. We haven't done a Denny video in a minute. We'll do one of those.
Hello, my friend.
Hello, my friend. So we'll do a Denny video. Maybe not the whole thing, right? We'll skip the Atlas VPN advertisement, but yeah, we'll take a look. And once it's nighttime, you get attacked by ground forces. Yeah. And drones, right? And drones. This is unbelievable. And you got to give credit to the journalists that are doing this. The Mail, The Sun, BBC, yes, even CNN, I know, Al Jazeera, and many more journalist organizations putting their staff on the line to get us these stories. This is really great. This is really good stuff, right? Because I respect Ukraine, but I don't want all the information coming from a government source. You know what I mean? As much as I respect Ukraine, I don't want everything to come from the official Ukrainian source. You know what I mean? I'll try not to, Zeoduke. That is my goal in life, to destroy nihilism, become the Ubermensch. He's such a hopeful beard. The beard is actually getting shaved tomorrow, folks. The beard is going away. I'm getting a haircut tomorrow.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
I'm getting a haircut tomorrow. The beard is the beard is disappearing, folks. All right, let's get into it.
Machine gun fire and mortars.
Lenny, you're hilarious. Kissing Gonzo.
It's likely to be like this for the rest of the day.
We don't need to laugh at them. I guess I did that earlier today, and the conservative called me out for it rightfully. But yeah, let's make sure you shed a tear. Oh no. Oh, tear over. Back to normal life. I'll have a beard by the time winter rolls around, Zeoduke.
You ready?
No.
Come on.
The conservative, as much as the conservative is right. We can't be making fun of dead people. Davey, his act was not a war crime. He was an active combatant on a war
It's
on a
3 a.m.
battlefield.
on a warm summer's night in the war-ravaged Donbass region.
But come on. I don't want to celebrate killing human beings, even though I am celebrating killing human beings in a war. There's no moral consistency, right? When you're engaged in a war, right? I kind of get it when the nihilists are just like, kill, right? What does it matter? What's the difference? Right? You're going to kill one person. Why not kill 1,000? What's the difference? Right? You're justifying one. Why is it so difficult to justify more? It so quickly gets out of hand, right? It so quickly turns into just dehumanization of everything. No, Chem Goblin, you're not wrong. You're not. But it's just like, it does make you want to go, why can't we all just get along, right? What are we doing here? You look at the battlefield strewn with bodies and you're like, really? Is there no other way? And the answer is, yeah, there really isn't any other way. Russia brought this ultimatum on the world. And they're checking the world. Russia's checking the world. They're like, see, look, we can be more brutal. You think you can check us and check our power? We'll just crank up the brutality. We have no limit to the brutality that we'll commit on people to get what we want. It's a check. It's a check to the entire global order. You let us get what we want, or else. We'll starve you. We'll kidnap your kids. Who knows? The barbarity never ends. We'll shove corpses in wells. Right? It never ends. That's the proposition they're bringing to the rest of the world right now.
We're in a Ukrainian army vehicle approaching a hotly contested frontline
no more
trench
interruptions.
position. To use headlights this close to the Russian lines, only a few hundred meters away, would be suicidal.
Wow, look at that.
So the driver is...
Wow, look at that. So no headlights, and they have some kind of like night vision or something, and that's how he's driving.
having to rely on night vision equipment.
Wow.
This is it. From here, we have to make the rest of our way on foot. A sporadic artillery fire punctures the silence.
Yeah, quick double tap. That is the way of the world. That is how the world is working right now.
So it's about 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah, it's really good, isn't it, Chem Goblin?
Trench system in the very front line, somewhere in Donbass. Our journey here on foot involved no talking and no lights, obviously. And as we got closer to this position, we could hear a drone somewhere overhead close by, a Russian drone. And one just has to be very, very careful. I don't know what that was, but it wasn't very big. The male team has been allowed unprecedented access to the front line as the soldiers wait in dugouts for first light and the inevitable full-scale resumption of hostilities. For all the advances in military technology, what you're about to see will demonstrate the similarities between conditions on the Western Front more than a century ago and those in this 21st century war. Most of the men, the Ukrainian soldiers who are manning this trench line, are asleep. It's all very strange to be here and to be so close to the Russian line. While we were able to
Good
avoid
luck
the
kissing
drone under
Gonzo.
cover of darkness, leaving the trench line after dawn is often more risky, as we would find out later. One of the deeper dugouts. It looks very much how one imagines a dugout on the Western Front in the Great War to be. There are 4 beds here made of trees from the forest, and I've just been served a cup of English breakfast
Davey,
tea
I'll give you the link.
by Oleg.
I have
our
spices
guide.
in Hodo.
We've had to be very quiet up until now because a Russian drone is overhead, and the bangs, the small bangs you may have heard in the background are soldiers from this position trying to shoot the drone down. But we're now as undercover as we can possibly be in this situation. It's not quite breakfast time. It's just before 4 o'clock in the morning. But breakfast is served. Cheers. Oleg, there are a lot of, we have the noise of the drone up there, but we have a lot of mosquitoes. Is this a problem inside?
Ugh. Ugh. You know, and it's those little things that you never really think about, right? You're hot, you're miserable, you're exhausted. You know, you just got done 18-hour shift on the front lines, right? You had to be alert 24/7, right? That entire time, eyes bugging out alert. You just want to get some sleep. And the fucking mosquitoes, right? And you're sleeping on a fucking, on a pile of dirt, and the bombs are blowing up and you just can't get to sleep, dude. The pressure. And then you get what? You get 4 or 5 hours of sleep, and then you got to do it all over again. And you got to go up and do it all over again, right? Oh yeah, you're soaked to the bone, right? Shocking that these guys, and this is why there's such a difference in morale, and this is how it affects performance, right? Like, I understand why Russians are getting drunk on the front lines. Look at how they're treated, right? You gotta be having a damn good reason to be doing this to yourself, and of course Ukrainians do, right? And that's where that morale comes in. That's where that morale difference comes in, right?
It has arrived. Here, the trench parapets are at head height, with firing steps dug into the walls.
Wow.
This provides maximum cover while still affording a view of the battlefield. And with daylight comes an increase in hostilities.
A drone grenade could land at your feet at any second.
The walkways are narrow. In full body armor, it is a tight squeeze for Oleg and I to pass one another. There's a lot of water, and something just went over the top of the trench. This network of trenches, underground galleries and dugouts was built last autumn when the area was recaptured from the Russians during the Kharkiv offensive.
Pronounce it correctly.
The open space in front of us is no man's land, or the grey zone as the soldiers call it. Once it would have been a farmer's field. Now, at the height of summer, it is wildly overgrown, providing cover for infantry patrols or assaults on the opposing trench line.
Journalists have balls.
The Ukrainians and this line of trenches, and the Russians, or the Orcs as they call them, which are about 400 meters away, and you can hear artillery landing as well. Daylight has broken properly at about 15 minutes ago, and the war has really started in earnest here in this section of the trench. You can hear small arms rifles and machine gun fire, mortars, and distant artillery.
Yeah.
It's likely to be like this for the rest of the day.
Come on.
Soldiers here tell us that the most dangerous time is when you leave the trench in daylight, under observation by enemy gunners.
Makes perfect sense.
This we are about to find out for ourselves.
Oh, you hear them whistling in?
Should be easier in the daylight, but the battle is raging around us, and at least one Russian drone is overhead.
Yo, where are the anti-drone guns? You know, we saw those fancy ass. How come is it? Have they already designed like that because it was taking advantage of, you know, this like recovery? Like you put the drone in like an emergency recovery mode and it comes down. They've already been subverting that in custom firmwares. So have the anti-drone guns just become totally irrelevant now? Yeah, they seem kind of rare. Why? How come every trench doesn't have at least one of them? It's a little. Is it because they're expensive? Is it because they're ineffective? I wonder why. There has to be a good logistical reason.
Come through to the edge of the wood now. We've paused. Some clear quite how close we are to our transport. There's quite a lot of artillery going backwards and forwards. You can hear them shushing away.
The straps are driving me bananas. Could he have spent 5 minutes fixing his fucking straps? I'm just saying, okay? I'm just saying it's driving me bananas. It's all twisted. He's got his shit all twisted. All right, anyway. Take 5 minutes to fix your straps, man. Okay.
You ready?
Oh shit. Stalled out. 5 minutes and you're dead. Yeah. The drone likely saw the truck.
Get in.
Now we discover that in the darkness, we had driven too far, across a field that is in full view of the Russians. We have to drive back across the field in daylight, and we do so at breakneck speed, with mortars landing far too close for comfort.
They're in some civilian truck, dude. They're in some Toyota or something. Right at sunset.
We make it intact as dawn heralds a new day along the old-fashioned front line of this bitterly contested modern war.
Wow. Amazing work by the Mail here. The Russians launched a sustained ground assault on the trench line sector. Fighting there continues. Jesus. One day after they left, that whole area was, you know, full battle. Full battle. Wow. Here's that link right there for you, Davey. You want that for your macabre collection of war videos. There you go. All right, folks, we got time for one more video. And of course, I like to end it on a map update just to get an update on the battlefield situation. And they are heroes. Those soldiers, they are heroes. Without a doubt. I don't care what happens with Crimea. You know, I don't care if the war stops today and Ukraine gives up. I've never seen fighting like this before. I've never seen it. But yeah, like to end it with a map update. Everyone's favorite Ukrainian, friendly Ukrainian from around the way. It's your boy Dennis. Dennis Dadryov, Daddy Dov, or how the hell you say his last name. Daddy Dennis, giving us the map update. So let's get it here. Make sure you buy a subscription to Atlas VPN while you're at it. Hey, Atlas VPN. You want to help a brother out? I got big views, man. I'm clocking in them big views. Big numbers. All my viewers are going to use Atlas VPN after you sponsor me. Telling you.
Hello, my friends, and
yeah, Solahov, no doubt.
Welcome. Let's go to the front lines update. We have the situation near
Sponsored by Atlas VPN.
Russia tried to move their forces to counterattack Ukrainian army. However, unsuccessfully. We even have the drone video. It was filmed
Davey.
on
Shut
the
up.
thermal camera, so it happened
Davey
during
uses
the
Atlas
night
VPN.
time. Russia tried to offend with a lot of the infantry. I wonder if you are able to see it on the screenshot, but there are around 50 persons. Unfortunately, I cannot show you the full video on this platform. For it, please check out my Telegram channel. So what Ukraine did to demolish or ambush this Russian convoy, let's say. The Ukrainian army used the cluster munition that we obtained.
No, Davey actually uses Atlas VPN. He's just joshing you.
Or start to obtain from the United States of America. You
Shut
see,
up,
all
Davey.
of those shots are from the some sort of the grenades that disassemble in the skies and hit the ground. Again, it shows the effectiveness of clusters. I told you that Ukraine is going to use the cluster munition just on the front lines and not against some sort of the villages or towns. Just on the open fields against the Russian infantry, armored vehicles, and the Russian defense lines, the trenches. However, I saw one more video today, and the cluster munition is not that effective against trenches. I thought it would be much better. I will also post it on my...
and that's what I was worried about. That's what I was worried about. It feels more desperate than strategic, the use of cluster munitions. You know what I mean? Surfshark is garbage compared to Atlas VPN, bro. I don't know what you're talking about.
Telegram channel. So there is the Russian trench over here, and you see that using the cluster munition is not always good to target the trench itself. Yes, maybe some of the grenades went into the trench, but the majority went on the sides. The standard artillery shell, however, went just into the trench, causing losses. So trench is going over here, and it hit exactly the proper place. This is the drone image of the Bakhmut suburbs. You can see that Ukraine...
Davey, but Dennis is literally showing us the opposite. Dennis is literally showing us photographic evidence of the opposite. Here's the trench. Here's all the impacts from the cluster munitions, right? Here's what it looks like when artillery is actually used, like, you know, a single artillery shell, direct hit. I have not been convinced by argument or by information that cluster munitions are effective. It seems like it's one of those, on paper, it seems like a really good idea. In use, I don't know, man.
Losses. So trench is going over here, and it hit exactly the proper place. This is the drone image of the Bakhmut suburbs. You can see that Ukraine uses...
I mean, look at the battlefield, right? Look at the battlefield. The trench line over here, right? And it's like holes everywhere. It's like Swiss cheese. Okay, guys. I need to see more evidence. But look, I mean, the fact is, you got to be shooting something. Right? I mean, it's gonna, you know, if you're advancing forward and the enemy is firing something at you, it will push you backwards, even if it's ineffective cluster munitions.
lots of the artillery shells
you gotta shoot
to propel forward. You may see some sort of the moon landscape over there, and for sure Russia keep the trenches over here in the forest line, over here, and also there is the railroad on the
quick
bottom.
double tap,
One more evidence of the cluster munition.
But when you're in a trench, a bunch of cluster munitions throwing shrapnel everywhere isn't going to do jack shit. You're underground, right? You got a bunch of shrapnel flying over your head. Whoop-de-doo.
In use, this time near to Avdiivka town. As you can see, this is the classical trace of the cluster shell. Everything that is inside is also shrapnelled. But if there is the trench over here or somewhere over here, the soldiers will not get any kind of the wounds. I wouldn't say that it's useless against the Russian trenches, because the possibility of the small shell to hit the trench is quite significant if there are many of those small explosives grenades. Fighting continued in many of the areas, but today Ukraine...
Davey, no one has provided me evidence that it's a clearly better. The only evidence I've seen is that it's worse than actual artillery. I haven't seen any convincing evidence so far that cluster munitions is effective against trench line in trench line combat. I haven't seen it.
Gained some of the ground near to Priyutne. It was yes.
But you know what though? The battle lab is engaged. We will get proof. Ukraine's throwing these things around like hotcakes. So we're going to get that real world data. We're going to get that real world data real soon. Davey, what's a radius if you're nowhere close to your target? Who cares? Yeah, you fucked up a bunch of dirt. You know what I mean?
Yesterday, and
there's no
it
penetration.
Is today. It is the single move for the front lines for today. But we have tons of the videos, tons of the footages from the...
I mean, from the U.S. perspective, we got like 5.5 million of these cluster munitions. Not allowed to use them in any of our wars without receiving massive negative press. So yeah, it's a great opportunity to get rid of a bunch of stock that we couldn't really find a use for in the first place. It reeks of desperation.
Front lines, and I'm gonna show you them later in this video. First of all, let's speak about the sponsor and the partner of my channel, the Atlas VPN.
Atlas VPN, yo, get it. Get yourself some Atlas VPN, folks. The best VPN in the world. Some folks say Surfshark. Those people are wrong. Atlas VPN.
Kursk Oblast. I wonder.
And Garbage Field.
What we used over there. I'll share this one also on my Telegram channel, and there in the comment section you'll tell me what tools Ukraine used to target the Russian.
I am waiting for proof. I'm still on the fence. I want proof. Show me proof that these are fucking up Russians. That this is changing the battlefield, like some are saying. I don't think it's doing that right now.
Base. I think that Ukraine already targeted many of the Russian positions on the Russian territory, also surveillance towers that Russia installed very close to the border with Ukraine. Recently, Russia started to use many of the T-80 tanks. I wonder why, but I see many of the drone videos with those tanks being demolished by Ukrainian FPV drones or artillery. There were a few of the big kabooms today registered in Crimea. They happened near to the Russian military aviation base.
By the way, if John Axel is still here, thank you, John Axel. I'm not sure if I got to all of your links, but thank you so much for providing them. Sorry if I didn't get to them all.
Kerosene reservoir was targeted and totally kaput. Plus, the ammunition warehouse started to detonate. According to the information coming from the Russian side, Ukraine used the Storm Shadow cruise missiles.
Man,
we definitely need...
Dennis, show the video. Come on, Dennis. He's all like, check out my Telegram. Go to my Telegram. Come on, show the video.
Need more long-range weaponry because, as you can see, those are very effective.
We want to see
According to the Washington Post article, the White House administration, President Biden, is not willing now to supply the ATACMS missiles to Ukraine. I would say that in that case, without the fighter jets, it will take time for Ukraine to break through the...
So dumb. So dumb, so dumb, so dumb, so... If it isn't a chemical weapon or a nuclear weapon, go fucking bananas. You know what I mean? Cluster munitions are on the table, and we're still talking about incrementalism. Give them the tools that they need or fuck off. What is this game? What is this? What is Russia going to do? Kidnap and torture more civilians and bomb more civilians if we give them some more cruise missiles? The cat's out of the bag, okay? The cruise missiles, the tanks, the fucking all of the good shit, the cluster munitions, all the good shit. Well, we can't send some fucking cruise missiles. Oh, okay. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm worried. Oh, it might cause some escalation. How much proof does the Ukrainian military need to give you that they're perfectly fine with the restrictions and limitations, and they follow those restrictions and limitations when you give them weapons that could reach Moscow, right? Because that's the worry. Oh, well, he might get a wild hair up his ass and blow Moscow up. Then we got World War III. How much does Zelensky need to prove to you? You know? U.S. doesn't want to reduce their stocks of attack him, not because the U.S. is scared of Russian response. I see. That's kind of stupid. That's kind of dumb. What? Really? If we don't have a couple ATA CMS, if we don't have a couple attackums, where, here comes China. Here comes China invading Florida. Who believes this crap? You know? Give them the fucking tools that they need already. Oh, we won't have any for ourselves. What are you going to use them on, Uncle Sam? Mexican cartels? What are you holding on to them for, bud? If they're more valuable if you keep them in the package? Is that what it is? Fear that Russia will use it as a false flag. They will, if they want to do it, they'll do it. It's not attackums that's going to make the difference. You know?
Russian defense lines,
tired of
and
this.
unfortunately with many of the
Tired of
losses.
it.
Luckily,
Give them the tools they need.
UK provided Ukraine
Cat's
with the
out of the
Storm Shadow
bag.
cruise missiles as well
Who are we
as
kidding here?
drones. But ATACMS is better, it's more powerful, and also it's the ground-based missile. That adds some versatility to that weaponry. One of the Russian propaganda journalists, Rostislav Zhuravlov, was liquidated today in Ukraine, also with the help of the cluster munition. I bet it was accidentally because those propaganda journalists usually join the Russian convoys. So not just this guy lost his life, but also there was operator and someone else from his group who sustained wounds. And you know, since Ukraine started to receive the cluster munitions, Russia has many losses in their propaganda. Alright, let's speak about the vehicle losses for...
All right. See, that's what I mean. Like, okay, so that's just Dennis speculating, right? But maybe we're going to start getting some numbers here. This guy was killed by a cluster munition. He's currently in the process of turning into a sunflower, right? Maybe, you know. I just want to see some numbers. Show me some numbers. Okay? Because right now, all we have is a bunch of government people telling us to just trust us. And of course, you know, well-meaning folks that, you know, have their heart in the right place, but like Davey said, not exactly, you know, military missile, you know, guy, right? He's a civilian who's a airline pilot, right? But he obviously is following this very closely. But with that said, not a missile expert.
Help of the cluster munition. I bet it was accidentally because those propaganda journalists usually join the Russian convoys. So not just this guy.
I'm literally not an expert at anything anymore. I literally suck.
Guy lost his life, but also there was operator and someone else from his group who sustained wounds. And you know, since Ukraine started to receive the cluster munitions, Russia has many losses in their propaganda. Alright, let's speak about the vehicle losses for both of the sides. For a couple of days, Russia lost 45 of the vehicles, Ukraine lost 24, which is also okay for Ukraine since we are on a counter-offensive operation.
Yeah. And these, I've seen every time I've seen stats like this, it's always like this. It's always like this. I mean, Ukraine is really... They are delivering for Uncle Sam. I bet you Uncle Sam wishes that they could have, you know, Ukrainian warriors in every conflict like this. These are numbers you can take to the bank. If the United States had performance, had numbers like this during fill in the blank conflict, but let's just say World War II, right? If the you know, if Britain and the United States was taking out Nazis and Nazi equipment at this rate, it would have been Charleston. People be dancing the Charleston to this day. Losses are going to happen. Losses are guaranteed to happen during an offensive. And look at the difference. The problem is that Russia can, currently has stockpiles up the wazoo. This is the exact kind of warfare they like to fight. Artillery based, trench based, throw bodies at it till the problem goes away kind of fight. So this is perfectly suited to Russia's style of fighting. But I honestly, how can these numbers get any better? How can honestly, half, 50%? Chem Goblin, you're not wrong, but if you're expecting zero, losses that are in the zeros or close, that's just not how this game works. That's not how war works. You stick your neck out, you're going to get chopped at. Quite frankly, these numbers are fantastic for an offensive. Half and half, pretty goddamn good.
For the Russian losses, 45 of the units, we should lose 90, but we lost 24. So it's the great result of Ukraine. We save our forces, or try to do it as much as we can. Unfortunately, 2 of the Ukrainian tanks were totally destroyed. We are speaking about the T-64. 1 was damaged and 2 abandoned. Probably they're gonna be evacuated from the front lines for the maintenance. As for the Russian side, they lost 12 of the tanks for a couple of days and only 1 was damaged. The rest are totally kaput. What is interesting here that Russia started to use T-80 tank, as I told you. Just 1 loss they had for T-72B tank, the rest are T-80s. I'm quite surprised that Poland opened the factory for the maintenance of the Leopard 2 tank.
Jesus Christ, about fucking time. I'm shocked. I am shocked that these things were left inert this whole time. Where are the factories making shells? Where are the tank, the tank repair shops? Where is this shit? This has been going on for over 500 days. And where is the alliance? We're just now opening up tank repair shops, right? What's the status on buildings that are manufacturing artillery shells, 155 millimeter artillery shells? Where the fuck are we on that? They want all the glory, but they don't want to, they don't want to go into a total, they don't want to have the appearance of total war in any way. Because there isn't any alliance. Well, it's complicated. The Facebook status is officially, it's complicated, right? Because there is an alliance, but it's not, sucks.
Thanks. Honestly, I don't know what is happening because Germany wanted to open the maintenance
Weezer, yeah, Ukraine kicking a lot of ass.
Facility and they canceled the deal, but today we have the news that Poland started the operation of the factory and some of the Leopard 2 tanks have already been delivered to that particular facility. We need it a lot because, as you can see, some of the Leopard tanks got damages, mostly because of the minefields. As for example, over here, you can see the tank without caterpillar, and probably there is the damage to the bottom of the tank and also to suspension. Germany is going to provide Ukraine with 300,000 shells for the Gepard anti-aircraft vehicles.
These are nasty.
As you probably know, Switzerland refused to...
These make such a cool sound when they're in use. That look it up if you have time. These things make a really cool sound when they are engaged.
Supply those shells. That's why Germany had to start the production of those shells again. President Zelensky said that soon the Ukrainian counteroffensive will roll in with a new pace. We are close to the moment then the actions of Ukrainian army will take the RPM because our forces are proceeding through the special places that were mined and we are demining those areas. Actually, it's true. Also, President Zelensky asked for more long-range weaponry plus
he's been poking, he's been prodded, he's been taking a close look. Are we going to see a drive? Are we going to, because they haven't even hit the fucking actual trench line, the real trench line that Russia has set up in the Kherson, region near Melitopol, right? There's a whole trench line that Ukraine hasn't even touched yet. Ooh.
Fighter jets for successful mission. Speaking about the Ukrainian advancement towards Priyutne, we have the drone images from the place, how Ukraine uses the FPV drones. Russia kept some of the armored vehicles in that place trying to repel the Ukrainian attack, but all of those vehicles were demolished, including the BMP-2. Also, we have the video of the Ukrainian soldiers storming the Russian positions in the forest line close to the Bakhmut city. The attack was successful. Many Russians left their positions for good, but some were not able to do so. Again,
the footage from these assaults, I can't stress how nutso it is. And if you want that first person perspective, check out a YouTube creator called CivDiv. CivDiv is a soldier or the Foreign Legion. He's got a bunch of battle buddies that send him footage, and he edits it and puts it on YouTube. Shocking footage, absolutely shocking. I've showed it here on the stream before, but if you want a first person view of what it's like to hop off one of these and run into a trench line, unloading your machine gun while you're receiving fire, check out CivDiv's videos. You will not be disappointed.
Again, all of that stuff I publish on my Telegram channel. So my friends, I highly recommend you to check Ghost Rider, who took this motorcycle and tried to perform the surveillance missions around, but was met with the Ukrainian drone greetings. Again, unfortunately, explosions reported in Odessa. Russia launched their attack using their strategic bombers. They want to hit Ukrainian ports to get rid of Ukrainian capability to handle the grains and to supply the grains elsewhere. The United States of America successfully tested the autonomous drone that may stay in the air for 1 year. How is it possible? Basically, it has the electrical motors and the solar panel on the top of the wings. It is capable to reach the altitude of 65,000 feet. It is non-identifiable by the air defense systems. It may perform the surveillance mission.
It looks like a giant paper airplane. Look how thin it is. This is the body of the vehicle. It's all wing. It's just a big ass solar panel with this tiny little body right here. Wow. It's fantastical, isn't it, Chem Goblin? It's really amazing.
The only problem over here that the drone is very light and the payload is kind of low compared to the other modern day drones.
What, do we expect this thing to drop ordnance? No, this is a surveillance, this isn't dropping bombs. Your average, this is heavy. This is, a handful of grenades is probably heavier than this thing.
But I think this development has the perspectives. Yes, we moved towards the aviation news somehow.
Back, by the way,
Today, Ryanair announced that they will enter Ukrainian market till the end of 2023. They're almost sure about it. They think that Ukraine will sign some sort of the agreement with the Russian Federation and the air travel will be again open on Ukrainian territory. Ryanair, sorry, but there is not gonna be any kind of the peace agreements with Russia, and Russia will not allow any.
I want to go to Ukraine. If I could fly into Ukraine, I would absolutely do that and volunteer some time, right? See what I could do to help. But that would be great to take like a 2-week vacation to Ukraine to, I don't know, dig some trenches, I don't know, whatever they need me to do, right? That would be really great.
Any kind of the commercial transport.
How is Dylan getting into Ukraine? Is he just going to Poland? Is that what he's doing?
In Ukraine for their own guarantees. It will never happen because the airspace in Ukraine is not safe. The European Aviation Safety Agency will never let any kind of the airline to fly over Ukraine. It is no-go for sure till the war is over.
True.
And it's not going to be over this year, unfortunately. For example, just right now, Russia continued to...
Does Dylan have a guy that's getting him into Ukraine? I should look into this. My wife will fucking kill me. But I would like to dig some trenches for the Ukrainian military. You know what I mean? Feel like I'm helping a little bit.
launch the cruise missiles from their ships just in the Sevastopol harbor, and all of those rockets are going to Odessa. Those rockets or missiles may actually appear at any point in Ukraine. My friends, I'm gonna keep you updated on situation.
I'm not afraid of the fucking Russians. I'll go near the front line to dig some trenches. I don't give a shit. My wife is gonna kill me. I'm more worried about my wife than I am about the Russian military. You know what I mean? They wouldn't let me. Yeah. All right. Well, whatever they would let me do. Because yeah, I'd be more of a liability than anything. Maybe design some websites. Yeah, right. You guys ever heard of Wix.com? Just don't. No. I'm interested. I don't know. Maybe not dig a trench at the front line, guys, okay? Maybe help somebody rebuild their house that was bombed, right? Maybe someone is rebuilding their roof and they need help, right? Maybe I can deliver food from one place to another. Anything. What I'm trying to say is I feel, I wish I could be doing more. I really do wish I could be doing more. Like Dennis. So thank you very much, Dennis. Good reporting over there. Thank you very much, Dennis. All right, folks. That's the motherfucking News Underground for you, huh? How about that? News Underground. You feel informed? Exactly, Davey. Anything. You want me to sweep a floor? You clean a toilet, right? Whatever. But, I just want to help Ukrainians out. I want to help them out. But yeah, Garbage Fuel Awards. Thank you, Lenny. Thank you, everybody. Garbage Fuel Awards. Panda Man, fuck you. Garbage Fuel Awards going to go to Davey, to Lenny, to Chem Goblin, to Quick Double Tap, to Weezer Blink, Zio Duke. Who else in this chat? It was just the last couple. Oh, there we go. Solahov. Kissing Gonzo. Thank you, Kissing Gonzo. Garbage Fuel Award goes to you. Thank you, Kissing Gonzo. Big props. Anyone else here in my chat here? Let's see here. Oh, Digital Dan. Thank you, Digital Dan. Everyone, don't forget, check out Lenny's YouTube channel, Accidents Waiting to Happen. Okay, I want to see that 10,000. I want to see that subscriber count up to 10,000. Full Metal 1977. Thank you so much for being a consistent viewer of the News Underground. Full Metal 1977. Big Garbage Fuel props to you. Thank you. Fast Life 203. You weren't here long enough for a Garbage Fuel Award, but I'll give you some props. Thank you, Fast Life 203. Folks, creating political change is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Step 1, inform yourself. Step 2, join a progressive political organization in your area. And step 3, put in the work. We got to outwork the fascists in the chat. Make it their job to send out a counter narrative about reality. We need to fight them. I did forget the cluster munition video. All right. Let me take a look real quick. Okay. Well, Davey, I can't show people dying. I will review this and let's bring this conversation to the Discord. I can't show people getting bombed to death, Davey. You're going to get me in trouble with Jeff. Jeff, he didn't mean it. Jeff, it's okay, Jeff. No, you can clearly see the dots that represent human beings getting shattered into a million pieces. Come on, Davey. But your point is taken. They can kill a lot of people in the right scenario. Okay? I'm not 100% convinced, but I am more convinced. They go into the trees. Some of them do. Davey, you're going to get me in trouble. I promise you I will watch it afterwards. Yeah, exactly, Chem Goblin, 100%. Pussy-ass excuses from a coward. Peace in that motherfucking Middle East and glory to the Ukrainian democracy. I am Abandoned Nihilism, and this is the motherfucking News Underground. Thank you so much for being here. Call your mother. Call your friends. Give me a better song. I like this song, actually. Peace in that motherfucking Middle East, yo. Best anti-nihilist, Zio Duke. You. Zio Duke. Zio Duke. Fucking triggered. Peace in that motherfucking Middle East, yo. Yatch. Big props, quick double tap. Thank you so much. Yeah, look forward to the next stream where I'm missing all my hair. You got it, Weezer Blink. Only on the News Underground, the #1 source for news on Twitch. #1 source for news on Twitch. #1 source for news on Twitch, bar none. Put me next to your 100,000 viewer streamer. Put me next to your favorite cult of personality. Put me next to him. Put me next to your fucking political leader, your political voice. I'm covering more news. Ain't no one covering more news than the News Underground. Period. Only legitimate news source on Twitch, News Underground. Thank you so much, folks. Peace in that motherfucking Middle East. God damn it. I'm feeling so fucking geeked up. Hey, thank you, Davey. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. God, I'm so fucking pumped up. Have a good night, y'all.